Welcome to episode 3 of Into the Forest with Pine. Um, Kellen, let's start off with you kind of telling me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sounds good. Hey everyone, my name's Kellen. Super happy to be here today with you guys. I am a data scientist for Flipside Crypto. My background is in computer science and data science. I used to work in sports analytics. I worked for the Jacksonville Jaguars, which is a NFL team in Florida, for 5 years, and after that started getting really into crypto, went down the crypto rabbit hole, and joined Flipside Crypto 2 years ago, where I joined as a data scientist. And so I will do analytics internally. I'll build dashboards and tools, and also build certain things. So building trails right now, and I've also built a few other projects on the side on Solana.
Yeah, let's talk about a Solana a little bit. A lot of people who get into the crypto space like kind of start out with Ethereum or layer twos and just kind of stick into the EVM space. So like what attracted you to like building on and working in Solana?
Yeah, I started getting really into crypto about 2 years ago, which is right around when Solana was taking off. They went from being fairly unknown to this exploding NFT ecosystem. And as someone that didn't enjoy paying $20 in gas fees for every transaction, I was really interested in Solana, and it had a really vibrant NFT community. And even on Twitter, I just really enjoyed how passionate and active the community was. And I thought the tech was really cool, and the potential to build something on there that a lot of users can use for a really cheap price was attractive to me.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's kind of why I like to use Solana myself, not paying $10 gas fees or
Yeah.
more. So I kind of first like noticed you when you were working on the pools protocol, which I think
Mhm.
is really interesting. You want to kind of tell people about what that is and like kind of how you came about thinking about it and building it or working on it?
Yeah, for sure. I actually first thought of the idea in the fall of 2021. I had actually just gone to my first Flipside offsite and was jazzed up on all the energy and the excitement. And on the plane ride home, I literally just spent the whole 5 hours writing down different ideas of things I could do or build. And having the sports background, I've always been really interested in sports betting applications. And I sort of had this epiphany moment on the plane of what happens when you pair the technology of a Uniswap, these AMMs on crypto, with a sports betting protocol. And after that moment in my head, I just knew I had to build it. And so at the time, I didn't know Rust at all. I didn't know how to build programs on Solana. So spent about a month and a half just teaching myself those things, and then launched Pool Props on DevNet in early 2022, and then spent a few more months ironing things out, and then submitted to the summer camp hackathon on Solana, and was selected as one of the winners from there, and kept building it after that.
That's really cool. So you taught yourself how to code on Solana in like a month and a half. What advice would you have to people who are like trying to figure out how to like learn Rust and code on Solana? Like what are some like trials and things that you learned along the way?
Yeah, I would say for sure hop in the Discords is the biggest tool that I used as I was learning. I There's a few tutorials online that are super helpful. When I was first learning, Paul X had just published a tutorial on how to build using Anchor on Solana, and so that was my foundation. And I think it helps a ton to have a specific project that you're working on and really excited for, because there's going to be a lot of moments where you're really frustrated, and it's still a new technology, so the documentation is not going to be as thorough or built out as you're used to from building on React or TypeScript or some of these other technologies. And so there's going to be a lot of moments where you're going to be really confused for a really long time and not know why something isn't working. and it helped me a ton having a project that I was excited about and knew I wanted to finish and help get it to the finish line. And I think that helped me push through a lot of the hurdles and challenges of learning to build smart contracts or programs on Solana.
Yeah, I've always found if I have like a project in mind that I want to build it, I'm like way faster at kind of building it out and stuff like that. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
so
Like for me, it's something I even want to use myself. And so, yeah, just having that, it just helps with the motivation and excitement to keep you motivated throughout the process.
yeah, 100%. So switching gears a little bit, talking about your new project that you're currently working on, Trails Protocol. Um, can you like hop into that and kind of what that is as well?
Yeah, for sure. So it was about 3 or 4 months ago where we at Flipside were delving deeper into different tools to help encourage activity on chain or help essentially reward or motivate users and show them their progress of how advanced of a user they are. And so we had created a lot of these scored apps, one on XLR, one on Flow. We had one on Terra back in the day, rest in peace, and one on Solana. And they were super effective, but I was really interested in building a tool that had a more educational component to it and could really help walk users through the process of how do you connect your wallet, how do you make the first transaction, how does this protocol work, what makes it unique, because there are so many different projects, even just on Solana and for sure crypto more broadly. And at the time, there was nothing on Solana specifically to help users, guide users through that journey of step by step, how do you use this protocol? And so I thought that idea had a ton of potential. And so, yeah, started building Trails maybe 2 or 3 months ago. And we launched about 6 weeks ago, and it's been super successful so far, and are building a lot more behind the scenes at the moment that we're super excited about, but also thrilled to have launched and being used already by thousands of people.
Yeah, I find that like in the crypto space, there's a lot of like, I guess holes in like education, and a lot of people kind of have a hard time figuring out like where to start. Like from your perspective, like what do you think are like the biggest like gaps, I guess, in education for people using blockchains and different apps on blockchains?
Yeah, I think one of the things that was a big realization for me is I'm someone that spends a lot of time really deep into crypto, and even for me, some of these things can be intimidating, let alone thinking about people that are in crypto but maybe aren't in it every day. And so being able to lower the barrier to entry for both of those groups, I thought was super powerful. And, projects and protocols do a good job of creating documentation, and a lot will have some kind of Git book to explain to users how to use it, but there was really nothing that held your hand step by step to say, okay, here's what you do first, here's what you do next, here's a little more information on what's going behind the scenes. Okay, now try this out yourself and copy your transaction ID and paste it here, and you get a nice little congratulatory message and some XP. And I think for someone that's really getting into it, that little gamification or reinforcement of, hey, this is challenging, learning how to use these things, but you're doing awesome, you're doing great, keep on going, and there's a lot more to learn, was a structure and a format that I think's been I'm really excited about, and it has been really well received by the people that have used it.
Yeah, I think one of the really cool things about crypto is that you can kind of create like incentivization like structures for like people to do some different actions and stuff like that. And I thought the XP structure was like a cool way that you guys are doing it. Like kind of what have you learned about like incentivizing users to do certain actions on chain and like how that kind of works out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the XP is something that we think is super powerful as well. We derived a lot of our inspiration from Duolingo, which is a language learning app that gamifies that whole language learning process. And my friend Michael, who's worked on trails with me and also pool props with me a ton, sent me an article when we were first starting, essentially showing the impact that gamification had on Duolingo. And so that's the mindset we came into trails with is, hey, even just little things like sound effects, XP, little graphics go a long way in keeping users excited and engaged in this process. And so that's something that we've really built into it. And the whole user experience is designed to be seamless and really easy to use, fun to use, because it's already going to be challenging really understanding the concepts and understanding how to use these protocols. We want to make sure that the Trails experience itself is smooth and seamless and fun as possible to make sure that the user is still enjoying, being able to learn these things while still having a fun time and enjoying the process.
Yeah, 100%. So on the app, you guys kind of curate certain apps that you're looking into. I think how many are there? There might be like a dozen, a little bit over a dozen on the app right now. How do you kind of like
Yeah.
choose apps that you want to like you think are important for people to kind of learn about when they're entering the Solana ecosystem?
Yeah, I think it helps that me and Michael are both really deep in the Solana ecosystem. And so we have a good sense for what are the core apps that a user might want to use as they're entering into an ecosystem. So I think having that background helps as well. The cool thing we've seen is at this point, every project we're adding is an inbound request. So a lot of projects will see the ones that we have already and say, hey, this is awesome. They'll see the traction we're getting with whatever it be already, like Famous Foxes or Zeta or Jupiter or Marinade, and say, hey, these are the types of users that we want using our project, and also the same type of user funnel and onboarding system. And so the fun thing has been receiving a lot of these inbound requests from these projects and getting to really talk with them and work with them on what they want to see in the trail, what they want the users to do. And yeah, in terms of the projects, I think there's a lot more we have kind of queued up at the moment, and it's balancing adding more projects and also building out the system a little bit deeper. But I would say, yeah, it's really just projects that we think are super critical to the ecosystem or super promising, and like projects that we think users should be learning about and using as they enter the ecosystem.
Yeah. So, I think you guys had like over 1,000 users like try out your app and try different protocols using it. Like being a data guy yourself, you must be looking at like how these users have continued to use Solana after interacting with your app. Like, what do you think is like the most important thing to have like sticky users on a blockchain or people who come back and keep using different apps?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's really what we're aiming for. We can provide a trail that a user does once, and there's a scenario where they do it once and that's the end. But really what we're shooting for is being able to target the users that will become sticky users, that will say, hey, this is a project that actually I'm really interested in using and will continue to use. And so that's partly where the XP system comes in, is that you can continue to gain this XP over time. So if I complete, let's say, a Jupiter swap today and get my XP, I can come back tomorrow, do the same thing. And it's this reinforcement of these activities that help really onboard users, because the first time it's still going to be intimidating. Even the second time it might not be fully comfortable. But if we can get these users coming back a third, fourth, fifth time, at that point it's sort of ingrained in their crypto repertoire, where they know, hey, I need to do a swap, I can use it on Jupiter. Hey, I need to stake some Sol. I know, like, I'm very familiar with Marinade now. And so it's this continual incentivized encouragement of users to continue to use the protocol, that it becomes now second nature for them to be able to go on and use these apps.
Makes sense. So given that you've built like two Solana protocols in I guess less than a year, like what's the biggest thing you learned from working on pool props that kind of helped you build trails and like kind of yeah, what did you learn from doing that and how do you implement that?
Yeah, I learned a ton from pool props. I'd say there's the obvious piece, which is the code, like learning how to build a program on Solana using Rust and Anchor and deploy it to mainnet is a whole learning process in and of itself. So having that foundation of knowing how to build out that code, build out a program was a huge help going into the second one. I also learned a lot in terms of, crypto's really different in terms of people enjoy going on this journey with you and seeing your project from its very nascent stage, where we only had 5 projects and it was a really super basic, really basic protocol at that point. But throughout the process, we've been able to add more features, add more projects, and slowly grow our community that way. And people have really enjoyed going on that process with us and that journey and seeing us grow. And I think that's something I learned from pool props was that, hey, it doesn't matter if you have the perfect project at this point. It's better to be able to release something that's usable, that's still adding value to the ecosystem, and knowing that you're continuing to build it along the way, and users can then get excited about these new features that are coming out. And you also get to sort of expose the community to what you have already and add value to the ecosystem even early on.
Yeah, that's one thing I definitely experienced a lot, especially working on Pine. I figured like I think the best way to do things is just kind of put out all the work you're doing and then let people kind of give their feedback on what you're doing so that you can kind of continually improve it.
Yeah, it's been great. Users have been giving feedback all along the way, and it really helps you know what users care about, what they don't, and really helps you as you're iterating through the project be able to prioritize things and know, like, yeah, be able to get that real time validation has been super powerful.
Yeah. All right, let's zoom out a little bit and kind of talk about, I guess, crypto as a whole. So I'm curious, like, what things are you kind of excited about, like themes, blockchains, projects, anything? Like, what kind of has you excited other than the things that you're working on yourself in the crypto ecosystem?
Yeah, I think one of the things that's been really cool to see, as we know, like it's been a brutal year for crypto, and
Yeah.
there's been, every time you think the worst of it is over or that you've experienced the last moment of serious pain, there's always one more around the corner. And what's been super inspirational to me is to continue to see the builders continue to keep working and have, faith in the space and the technology, that this is something that can impact billions and billions of people. And even though there's a lot going on externally, whether it be, certain companies betraying trust or things with the SEC, there's a lot of things, there's a lot of off ramps really for people to take if they want them. And it's really been encouraging for me to see people continue to build in crypto. And so that's super inspiring to me and what keeps me going every day.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, definitely. It's been a brutal 2022 to 2023, but I guess crypto will get through it. So I think I'm gonna close this podcast down. Thanks for getting on to episode 3 of Into the Forest with Pine.
Yeah, awesome. It's been great being with you, Jack. And yeah, honored to be in the top 3.